Did Cindy Anthony really call her daughter Casey an unfit mom? Family relationships now center stage in the Casey Anthony murder trial.
My mother had also referenced Kaylee as being a mistake, a great mistake, or the best mistake that Casey's ever made.
Plus, damaging testimony about a strange smell in Casey's car.
It was very potent, very strong.
Casey's own brother sheds light on the lies Casey told during those critical 31 days.
Controversy, opinion, point of view. This is Prime News.
Good evening, I'm Vinnie Politan, live in Orlando, Florida, in front of the Orange County Courthouse, where today more critical testimony in the Casey Anthony death penalty murder trial took place, and there were a lot of things that happened today. The day started off, it was pretty intense inside the courtroom, with Jose Baez cross-examining Casey Anthony's former best friend, Amy Heisenga. And Baez going after, bringing out in front of the jury that, guess what? Amy Heisenga is dating or dated a couple of Casey's exes, also trying to accuse her of drinking in excess and drinking and driving. That was big. At the end of the day, we saw the lead detective. Detective Yuri Melich took the stand. What an important witness he is. This is the guy who puts the whole case together. The man who speaks to, interrogates, interviews Casey Anthony. And they play the tape of Casey Anthony giving her first version of what happened in this story, in this case, involving her daughter, Kaylee. That was played for the jury. But there was one moment that was the biggest moment of the day, and that took place when Casey Anthony's brother, Lee, took the stand. And he took us back to that day when everything sort of came to a head, to a crescendo, when Cindy Anthony was fed up with Casey's lies. George had gotten the car. They brought Cindy home, and they're trying to figure out where on earth is Kaylee. And Lee Anthony today told this jury about the first time that Casey uttered the number 31. It's the biggest moment of the day.
Told me that she had not seen Kaylee in 31 days, that she had been kidnapped, and that the nanny took her.
At that time, were you given a name of the nanny?
I was not. Within a couple minutes or so, I ended up getting the name, yes.
What was the name that you received?
Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez.
Prior to July 15th, had you ever heard that name before?
Never.
This is such a big moment, because think about it. Yes, she's lying for 31 days to everyone about, oh, she's with the nanny, she's here, she's there. But now, her family is finding out that Kaylee is not around. And what is the first thing she does? She starts making up stories, lying to her own family. And then, as we see later in the day, lying to law enforcement as well. Well, at some point, don't you come clean? Don't you want to say what happened to your daughter? To your own mom? To the little girl's grandma? Don't you want to tell her what happened? But she didn't. She chose, and she chose this story. This story, and we know it's a story, because the defense is admitting it's just a story. It's fiction. But that was her reaction when finally confronted by her own family. And Lee, who, I don't know, is she close to Lee, not close to Lee? It seems like they have a close relationship. Can't tell him the truth. Important stuff in front of this jury, and I think it tells a lot about the character of Casey Anthony, and proof in this case. Joining me now to talk about all of it, in Atlanta, HLN law enforcement analyst Mike Brooks. With me here in Orlando, the Honorable Alex Ferrer, host of the syndicated Judge Alex Show, and criminal defense attorney Meg Strickler. This, I believe, was the biggest moment of the day, in a day where, again, we had lots of things that were happening. But this, I think this is an important part of the story, the case, and the development of who Casey Anthony is. She's a liar, Judge. Absolutely. She's an absolute liar. But here, lying to her family, her brother, who, you know, we looked at those. it seems to be the one person that maybe she could confide in, but she chooses not to.
She has lied to everybody, and she's lied to everybody multiple times, and she's given everybody multiple stories. You know, she lied to her family about where Kaylee was when she was supposedly with a nanny, and when she was in Jacksonville or Florida or whatever. She lied to her brother. She lied to her mother. Then she lied to the police when she got the story about the kidnapping. She lied to her brother about it, the police, and now she comes to court and says, no, 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 it was all an accident. And my take on it is, this is one of many in the string of lies. She's now going to lie to the jury if they put her on the stand, which would be a nightmare, but they may not have a choice. She'll lie to the jury as well. It's the jury is getting to finally see these lies, one right after another, and it's going to have a devastating effect.
It's every time she talks, Mag, it's a lie. And here's my question to you as a criminal defense lawyer, all right? You have a client, sits down, and I don't know, I'm not going to ask you how you interview your clients, but they got to tell you a story.
Yes.
So I'm thinking that the jury's thinking, well, Jose Baez, her attorney, told us this story during opening statements, and we know it didn't come from George Anthony, so it had to come from Casey. So she's a liar, so maybe she's lying to her own lawyer about what happened here.
You gotta wonder if she has lied multiple times. But as a defense lawyer, I always have to look at
Is
both
there a word
sides
that's
here.
greater than multiple? Because it's more than multiple.
All right,
I need a word that's it's more than multiple.
A gazillion, perhaps?
There you go, a gazillion times.
But to say something on the defense side, though, this could go to their side because
How?
there is lying everywhere. You try and tell me that you couldn't tell that your daughter was pregnant until she was 7.5 months pregnant, and you're trying to tell me you worked at Universal and the family didn't know? And how on earth does a 22-year-old understand how to do a nanny? If you told me and your kid, if my daughter says, I had a nanny, her name was Zanny Nanny, I'd be like, how in the heck are you affording that? I mean, there's a lot of...
She's got a job at Universal.
But she doesn't.
She lied about it.
But she lied.
It always
but the
comes
whole-
back to Casey's lies every
The
time.
whole family is dysfunctional.
Okay.
The problem, Meg, is that family's dysfunction does not get her off a murder rap. It's not a defense. It's kind of like, yeah, the family's all screwed up, but families that are screwed up commit crimes too. And she is trying to put out there that it's, you know, this is an accident and dad was there.
But I'm trying to say he's the evil patriarch. I mean, you could spin it both ways.
What
you
evidence
know?
is there going to be, though?
Well, they're trying to work on it. I'm trying here.
So Mike Brooks, what Meg is working on here, and it's interesting, and it could work, is that because she lies and the rest of the family lies, the fact that George Anthony lied about the drowning is proof that Kaylee drowned in the pool. You buying that, Investigator Brooks?
No, I'm not buying it at all. But today we saw Jose Baez, you know, with Yuri Melich say, well, you know, did you go and look at the pool? Did you think anything at all when Cindy told you that something about the ladder? But there was nothing at the time for that investigator to even think anything about a drowning. You know, it's her lies. Where did she think they were going to end, Vinny? That's what I want to know. When did she think all this was going to come to an end? It had to at some time. How long could she play this out?
Well, for 2.5 years, she convinced people that she had a job.
And it's Cindy Anthony,
you know, she
and
was
it's-
able to keep these lines going for quite some time.
Right.
You know what I would like to have seen the police officer say in response to the question about did you check the pool? The reason I didn't check the pool is because your client never said it was an accident. In fact, nobody said it was an accident until your opening statement.
That's good. That's good. All right, folks, you want to stay on top of all the details here, you got to follow me on Twitter. I'm here outside the courthouse. I'm inside the courthouse. I'm tweeting here. I'm tweeting there. I'm tweeting everywhere. @VinnyPolitan is the address. Easy to follow me. All right, more of today's riveting testimony coming up. Keep it right here on Prime News.
She told me that my mother had numerous times thrown it in her face, in my sister's face, that Casey was an unfit mother for Kaylee.
You were drinking quite heavily during those days, were you not?
I don't know if I would say heavily. I would go out with friends, but not any more than anyone else my age does.
And anyone else your age would mean almost every night.
I don't think it was almost every night. I'm sure it wasn't. I couldn't afford that.
3 or 4 nights a week.
I'd say 3 or 4 nights was accurate.
And each of those nights you, of course, would drink significantly.
Not significantly.
You would drink.
I would drink.
And yeah, you drink and you get drunk every night, right, Amy? You're an alcoholic, aren't you? Jose Baez going after Amy Heisenga this morning on cross-examination. I mean, trying to put words in her mouth. I mean, looked like he was beating up on her a little bit. It's just, you know, what did she do? She befriended your client. That's the only thing that she did. My panel's back with me, but I want to play for them another thing that Jose Baez did today, because I want to talk about the cross-examination. Again, it was to Amy Heisenga, and here he brings out some of the men Amy Heisenga has spent some time with, including a couple of exes of Casey's. Take a listen.
After Casey dated Ricardo, you moved in with Ricardo.
That is correct.
And you met Jesse after July 15th.
That is correct.
And Jesse is Casey's former fiance.
Correct.
And after July 15th, you guys went out?
We struck up a friendship.
You went out with Jesse?
I don't believe we actually went out. We met up a few times to talk about things to do with the case and trying to find Kaylee.
All right, what's Jose Baez doing here? I got to ask my guests here. Why is he going after Amy Heisenga? First of all, we know that she's a victim of Casey. Casey stole money from her, took her car, and did a whole bunch, went on a shopping spree with Amy's checkbook, right? But Amy's a heavy drinker, and she's going after all of Casey's exes. Meg, how does this help Casey Anthony?
I don't understand it at all. And also, at one point, he was asking her about the concussion. And did you go see a doctor after you pushed your car into the phone pole? A bunch of who cares? I mean, I don't understand at all.
Like a bully, doesn't he?
He did, and I think that's why they brought Dorothy out later on to soften things, change. Exactly.
I like Amy. She was a character up there. You had a bloody nose. No, it was just a little crusty. What was that?
Yeah.
And I don't drink every night. I don't have the money.
If I had the money, I would. But Mike Brooks, do you think Jose a little heavy-handed there, and maybe they had to pull back a little bit because these are young women, and really the only reason she's up on that witness stand is because she became friends with the defendant.
Exactly, and it was only about a 5-month relationship, and but it didn't take long for Casey to empty out her checking account while she was out of town, did it? No, I mean, then maybe she could go out every night. But no, there was the whole reason behind this questioning was just to try to impeach her. But you know, did it really? At the end of the day, was there any value added with that? No, not at all.
Let's take a listen to some more testimony, some more big moments from today. Lee Anthony on the stand, Casey's brother, talking about, and this gets back to the relationship between Cindy and Casey. Take a listen.
She told me that my mother had numerous times thrown it in her face, in my sister's face, that Casey was an unfit mother for Kaylee, and that Casey says, maybe I am. And I went on to say that my mother had also referenced Kaylee as being a mistake, but a great mistake, or the best mistake that Casey's ever made.
And that part really goes to this mother-daughter relationship. I'm talking about Cindy and Casey, not Casey and Kaylee, and how important that is to this case. Another important moment happened towards the end of the day. Detective Yuri Melich, the lead detective, on the stand and playing his interrogation interview with Casey Anthony. Take a listen.
I got off of work, left Universal, driving back to pick up Kaylee like a normal day. And I show up to the apartment, knock on the door, nobody answers. So I call the cell phone, and it's out of service. It says that the phone is no longer in service. Excuse me. So I sit down on the steps and wait for a little bit to see if maybe it was just a fluke, if something happened. And time passed. I didn't hear from anyone. No one showed up to the house. So I went over to J. Blanchard Park and checked a couple other places where maybe possibly they would have gone. a couple stores, just regular places that I know Zenaida shops at, and she's taken Kaylee before. And after about 7 o'clock, when I still hadn't heard anything, I was getting pretty upset, pretty frantic, and I went to a neutral place. I didn't really want to come home. I wasn't sure what I'd say about not knowing where Kaylee was.
What a little liar, or should I say, really big liar Casey Anthony is, and that's from the interview with Yuri Melich. Meg, I mean, the thing about the lies is, and I wonder if the jury will pick up on it, it's very similar to Jose Baez's opening statement. I'm not saying his opening statement was a lie, but there's details in there. Her lies are very detailed. Jose Baez's opening statement, very detailed.
Right.
Think the jury will put 2 and 2 together there?
Well, I gotta wonder, and if you listen to some of that story, you'll hear some of her real emotions come out. She just said, you know, I wondered what I was gonna say. So I think that really was a statement that was true at the very end, because I do think as part of her pathological lies, there are reality-based statements in there. Oh my gosh, I wasn't sure what I was gonna say next. And also, what kills her the most, of course, across the board, is we're talking about a 2-year-old child here. You've gotta show some sort of emotion, and there's none. And I think that kind of hurt Lee a little bit here, too, because he's like, there's no emotion today. We had angry George, we had sobbing Cindy, and then we kind of had a little bit of a strange Lee today, I thought.
Does she need to show more emotion? I mean, but she can't remake those tapes.
She can't show more emotion. It's not in her. She's got that sociopathic behavior where it's like a person without a conscience. You know, she just doesn't care. She's not gonna. She tries to fake it sometimes. You see her like dabbing her eyes.
It was working hard yesterday trying to get him out. Couldn't get him out. Hey, folks, you're a big part of the show. You want to join the conversation? Give us a call. The number is 877-TEL-HLN. Maybe you got a question for Judge Alex. What a great opportunity. You can speak to Judge Alex. 877-TEL-HLN.